Hello and welcome back to the class where we are continuing about the corresponding TG analysis, and we have seen that we must have certain level of heating of the crucible. So, what we see that a particular type of heating rate we can have, and what we see that a typical plot what we have seen in case of your oxalates, it can be all different oxalates or a mixture of oxalates like your corresponding calcium oxalate and the magnesium oxalate. So, we find that in a particular time that when you have this particular slope of the corresponding inflection for a particular weight loss, and this is also your weight loss, and we get the corresponding temperature. At this corresponding temperature, we all know that if we have both a mixture of calcium and magnesium oxalate, what we find from there is your corresponding one where we get that these will be decomposed, but at some point at this particular point we have the corresponding mixture of magnesium oxide and calcium carbonate, because we know that at this temperature which is 700 degree centigrade and at the temperature of say 870 degree centigrade, we will have a mixture of magnesium oxide plus calcium oxide. So, to get this very useful inflection point of all these things, because the weight of these things, that means if this is W1 and if this is W2, we can find out the individual component or individual contribution of the magnesium present in it or calcium present in it. But one more important thing is that if we have this particular weight loss at this point, it can be sometime such that it is very basically a continuous one with some shoulder. So, we have only the shoulder. If it is a pretty continuous one and it is a shoulder, so it is a difficult one to locate. Difficult to locate. So, it will be difficult to locate this particular point, particularly the temperature. So, that is why from TG we go its DTG plot and we get all these informations, and not only these two magnesium and the calcium, but sometimes we get a general compound of these type. It can be a mixture with certain number of order of crystallizations for different other oxalates like calcium oxalates or barium oxalates or strontium oxalates of these and their decomposition pattern or degradation pattern. Degradation patterns. And sometimes what we do, that if we do not know that this is unknown quantity of X, unknown quantity of Y and unknown quantity of Z, sometimes we can add some pure sample of calcium oxalate, because that is a good reference sample we always make, that reference sample for the standardization of the TG instrument, TG DTA instrument. So, we run the thing where unknown calcium, barium and strontium is there. Then in the second run we add certain amount of known calcium, that will immediately tell you at what temperature the known calcium along with the unknown calcium will break or will decompose. So, that will give rise to the corresponding amount of calcium with reference to that of your added sample. Then with respect to the corresponding calcium compound, because we know that what amount of original sample we are heating, we can find out the barium amount or the strontium around. So, these are the very good examples. Only thing is that their temperatures will be different depending upon their loss of whether they loss like that of your magnesium and calcium, that carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide or all together for this particular purpose. So, the heating rate, if we come back to the discussion of heating rate, that influence of heating rate, how heating rate can change the nature of these plots, and particularly we are interested to know about the corresponding plot where we find that this TG and DTG plots will be a little bit different, and we basically go for the corresponding pinpointing of the corresponding elimination of the material. So, if a sample undergoes a chemical reaction, what we find, the temperature region in which the reaction occurs is very much dependent on the heating rate. Now, we are bringing the rate of heating for the furnace, because so far we are talking about that there will be a mass loss, and that mass loss will correspond to any physical change, and that physical change also can sometimes be correlated to your chemical degradation. But in this particular case, what we see now, the effect of the corresponding heating rate, and that gives rise to something where a particular technique, what we can consider a sample controlled TGA. What does it mean? Because the depending upon the corresponding nature of your amount of wet loss, we see that if the wet loss is pretty more, that means your corresponding steps height is very high. So, the rate of heating should be reduced. So, we should not have a very fast heating rate when the mass loss is more. So, it is a quite different approach, unlike your simple TGA. For separating the overlapping reactions makes use of rate of change in sample weight to automatically control the heating rate. So, if we can control automatically the heating rate, that means instrument can take care. Nowadays everything is computer controlled. So, depending upon the rate what we know for its corresponding mass loss, we can also vary the corresponding heating rate of the instrument. So, what we see that the faster the change in mass, that means the corresponding step height is more, the slower should be the heating rate. We slow down the heating rate such that we slowly record the corresponding mass loss at that particular temperature. So, if this is the thing, so we can see that what are the differences we can have. So, in the first case what we see that this particular thing has been plotted against the time, not the temperature. So, what we see that in a particular case, that means in this particular sample what we have taken, that we will see that what is that particular sample, that heating rate for a sample of approximately 17 milligram only. So, in the range of again 15 milligram, 15 to 20 milligram. So, the amount of that heating rate for the solid light is 25 K per minute. To the slowest one is the corresponding dotted line, and the intermediate you have the dashed line. So, intermediate one is your dashed line. So, what we see that if we go from 25 Kelvin per minute heating rate to 5 Kelvin per minute heating rate, we see the nature of this corresponding plot is different. It is not that the temperature is changing, temperature of the decomposition is changing, because in this particular case we are plotting against the time. That means, when the corresponding one is slow one, we take more time to see the corresponding change or to observe the corresponding mass losses at these points. So, when the rate is very fast, that means the solid line, you see we can finish the experiment within 17 minutes. So, within 17 minutes we finish the whole experiment, whereas in case of the 5 Kelvin per minute rate of heating is we can finish the corresponding one at 80 minutes. So, it has some definitely has some advantage. So, how we get that particular type of advantage? So, if we have this particular one and if we slowly correlate this thing in between something which is the dashed line. So, dashed line is something which is known as sample controlled heating rate. Sample controlled heating rate, the sample will dictate what is your wet loss, and depending upon the amount of wet loss for the sample, the heating rate should be variable and it will be controlled by the instrument. So, influence of the heating rate on the resolution of partial reactions. So, if we see that if we change the heating rate, so we will have the more resolved case of the corresponding reactions, if someone is also overlapping, if we get that these two are overlapping, we can find two different steps for this one, but it is not there, but we can have that particular one if we have some overlapping steps at a particular or a very closely spaced temperature. So, what we have this inset tells us that the diagram on the right is dashed curve was recorded using the sample controlled heating rate. So, what we have the corresponding one when we plot is in terms of the temperature, because this was against time. Now, that can be plotted in terms of the corresponding degree centigrade. So, the same temperature we should have, but in one case where we get that where the rate is high, that means the solid line which is 25 Kelvin per minute. So, now this is going like this. When it is with time, it is this plot. So, this plot when plotted in terms of the corresponding temperature, it will go like this. So, in both these two cases, the solid line is 25 Kelvin per minute rate. So, it is going like this and will finish by say around 275 degree centigrade. So, at this particular point, the maximum weight loss has been observed, because it is be close to 60% or 65% of the weight loss is taking place, and we are looking for these weight losses at these 2 points. So, what we see that this is for the solid line and the dotted line where you have the slow steps, that means the 5 Kelvin per minute, we get these as the corresponding one. But the advantage in these two cases are not clearly visible, neither the solid line one nor the dotted line one, because you do not have the very good steps for this point. Similarly, we do not have a very good step for the second one also. But if we go for the technique, why this is a special one, which is known as the corresponding sample controlled heating for your TG analysis, that when we record it with sample controlled heating rate, which will be in between, that neither the slowest one nor the highest fastest one, where we get that. So, when it reaches this particular temperature, so the heating rate is such that which will be in between, and your thing is that the heating rate is slowing down, slowing down, slowing down. So, almost vertical step we can get. Similarly, for the second one is also like that. For the second one, this particular one, second one is almost vertical down. So, almost vertically down step we can have, and also the third one. So, you see how clearly we get this point as the temperature which is pretty close to 95, second one is also pretty close to 140, and third one is also pretty close to 250 degree centigrade. So, these are the typical advantages of going for a sample control heating rate, which basically changes the shape of these things. So, how we can modify the shape of these plots, the TG plot shapes can be modified by simply changing the heating rate. So, that is the typical advantage of this particular technique, and nowadays the automatic instruments can automatically take care of these things to give you this particular data, where we can change the corresponding temperature and the heating rate. Now, we will see what are the corresponding crucibles what we are using within the furnace. So, we have the very small crucible units. One, we have seen that we can use this as the sample, and the side by is the reference one, and both of them are within the furnace. So, the crucible material is important. Crucible material is important. Why so? Because it can be some ceramic type of material, it can be metal containing material, or some other material. So, this particular material can withstand a very high temperature and should not react with the material under investigation. That means, at a high temperature some material we are using and sometime in presence of air and oxygen we heat it. But if that particular sample of that particular crucible can react with this material, it can give you a complex oxide, or sometime it can give rise to alloy formation. All these things we should avoid for this particular use of this crucible. So, how we can change the corresponding nature of this crucible and the choice of those crucibles. So, what material we are analyzing for your TG or DTG analysis is taken in the crucible, and it should not influence the reaction of the sample. That means, it should not react with the sample material at high temperature. Most of the time we take Al2O3, which is alumina in one particular form. We call mostly it is the alpha alumina, because we know that there are beta alumina and the gamma alumina, because the chemical composition of those are all same, those are all Al2O3, but the solid state structure, the solid state natures are all different. So, we call some alumina samples, which can be your alpha alumina, are used for your TGA measurements. So, it can go up to a 1200 or 1300 degree centigrade temperature. Then you know that the sapphire is the material which is a very good material, which can be naturally occurring or synthetically prepared. We know sapphire is the gemstone also. So, this particular material, which is definitely a costly one, is even more resistant compared to your alumina crucible. So, if there are some material or some oxides which can react with alumina, which will not react with your sapphire crucibles, because the use of these crucibles are also very important when we do simple analysis, laboratory analysis, such as in gravimetric analysis or in gravimetry, that we have seen that in some cases where we are precipitating nickel DMGH, we use a glass sintered bed containing crucible. Then we can have some material, some fusion reaction we can do on some nickel crucible. So, nickel crucible can also be useful. Then we can have silica crucible. Then we can have another special quality of silica crucible, because seal is there, because there is a vitreous silica is a vitreous seal crucibles are there, and also for some very sophisticated measurement we use platinum crucible. So, you see, for the very simple gravimetric estimation of some of these analytes or some of these samples. So, depending upon the analyte what you take, you have to choose accordingly the different types of crucibles. So, these are the different types of crucibles. So, all are different types of your crucibles. Similarly, for this thermogravimetric analysis, where analyte is being heated at a high temperature. So, it must be very much stable at that particular temperature, and the material what is being heated within that particular crucible should not react. So, this sapphire goes in a higher level than that of your alumina, and specially suitable for measurement of metals. So, when we go for metals, particularly the metallurgists in the metallurgical engineering people, what they do something what they see that ceramic formation, the alloy formation, all they are handling of all this metal and heating that particular thing at around 1000 degrees centigrade. But we are the chemists, what we do, we mostly do some reaction starting from room temperature to a boiling water temperature to boiling solvent temperature. And sometime we can do also some solid state reaction on some sand bath, or some reaction on any other furnace, or some muffle furnace which is giving you a temperature of 600 to 700 degrees centigrade. But when we use the typical metallurgical process, ore extraction or mineral identification. So, we require some high melting points. So, such as iron, such as we are treating something for iron to analyzing something with iron, or we are going for iron as the component for alloy formation, we should analyze the corresponding graph, that means the TG curve or the DTG curve, taking that particular iron sample in sapphire crucibles, because in which particular case they partially dissolve or penetrate ordinary alumina crucibles at high temperature. Because if we take iron, some amount of alumina can be consumed, that means after some time of use the alumina crucibles will be corroded out, and they sometimes they penetrate also this alumina crucible at high temperature, because iron, if the material has not been made nicely, because the surface texture and all these things are very important for not reacting, or the surface should be resistant to react with the iron samples. So, this is one form of crucible what we can use in preference to of your alumina crucibles. Then, as we have seen just now, that in case of your gravimetric estimation, what we can see the typical platinum crucibles for some of the samples. So, here also platinum crucibles can be used for a good thermal conductivity, because it can pass the temperature very quickly, which improves for your DTA performances. So, next thing what we can discuss after going for all the DTG techniques, the DTA, differential thermal analysis. So, in this differential thermal analysis, the DTA performances can be good if we use the corresponding platinum crucible. So, platinum can have a catalytic effect at the same time. We should also be careful that if we monitor some reaction in that particular crucible at high temperature, we should not use that particular platinum, because platinum surfaces are very much reactive, and sometimes it is catalytically reactive also, and sometimes it promote combustion reactions, because the gases what is forming can be degraded. So, because we know that the catalytic converter in the cars and all these things. So, when we run the corresponding internal combustion engines, we burn the fuel for running the engine in the motor vehicles. So, this particular combustion can give rise to the nitrogen oxides, and platinum can also initiate some decomposition of those nitrogen oxides in term of gaseous nitrogen and gaseous oxygen. Okay. So, this particular one, that means the taking the advantage of different types of these crucibles, how we can interpret the different types of TGA curves. Once we get the TGA curve, then our challenge is that how we can read that particular TGA curve and what are the data we can extract out, or in the reverse way, if we have the data only in our hand, how we plot those data for a meaningful TG curve or the DTG curve. So, the TGA curve, the simple thermogravimetric curves only, can have different shapes depending upon its physical characteristics or the physical change, or sometime for your chemical reactions. So, what are those chemical reactions? We can see that we can have different types of shapes. So, basically what we can see that in one case you have a shape like this, in another case we have a shape like the second one, or we can have the corresponding one, that means the C, D and E. You see this all these things we are only looking at two axes, one is the corresponding time or temperature axis, and other one is your corresponding mass loss axis. So, if we consider that the first one is for the mass loss, so after some time at particular temperature we have a very monotonous or a monotonically decreasing mass, and which is again stabilized after some time and which is getting horizontal at some point. But the second one, the B curve, is completely different, which is running in the opposite direction. That means at some point of time, at some time or some temperature, your thing is gaining weight. That means some reaction is happening where we should see the gain in weight also. So, not only the TG plot or the TGA plots are useful for mass loss, it can also monitor the corresponding mass gain for a particular type of chemical reaction what we can monitor. Third one is also with a vertical line on the left hand side, you have N2 and on the right hand side we have the O2. That means what we can monitor is that on similar type of sample or the same sample, we can monitor up to this point of temperature in an atmosphere of nitrogen, because we have discussed in so many times that the environment plays some important role for all these thermal degradations. So, up to this point we use nitrogen for your wet loss change. So, what we see that when we keep this as nitrogen, we do not see any wet loss up to this temperature. But when we change the temperature, the environment from N2 to O2, what change we see, that immediately by moving the environment from N2 to O2, there is a immediate start of the corresponding wet loss. So, wet loss will take place till we reach this particular temperature, where the material what is coming out due to this decomposition is stable even in your O2 environment. D is a little bit pretty complex one, where we have a immediate or a very sharp decrease, then sudden some point of flat range, that means horizontal line, then again another decrease. And the last one, the E curve, we have a kink, that means a very small or a very brief gain in weight, then a very sharp decrease and a very steep one, like that of a typical staircase type of plot for this particular case. So, slowly or one by one, if we see that the first one will be for your thermal decomposition with the formation of volatile reaction products, that we already seen in different cases, but if we give you this particular plot, you should be able to tell what is happening over there, and if the different options are given, you should be able to tell that this is for something, that means this wet loss is there. And why we say that the volatile reaction products, because for a particular type of reaction, in our previous class what we have seen, the decomposition of mercurous chromate, that mercurous oxide is forming, which is volatile in nature. So, in this particular chemical reaction, what we find that in this chemical reaction, when some volatile matter is forming, which is your mercurous oxide, and that mercurous oxide will be removed from that particular material as a corresponding volatile sample, and wet loss is due to the corresponding loss of your Hg2O. So, we can monitor Hg2O loss, and one important thing we should also remember, we should know, is the typical knowledge that this sample is volatile and which is coming out from your analyte or the sample. So, the corresponding wet loss is due to the removal of HgO from the crucible, and from the crucible is in the furnace, and furnace is taking its corresponding weight by the balance. So, this is your corresponding wet loss. So, the volatility of one component of the sample is therefore important. So, one of the reaction product, that means when we heat mercurous chromate, we see that mercurous oxide is forming. So, in solid state, that is why all these reactions are very important, because sometime we find that two components A and B can be reacted to give you a complex species, and which can only take place on a solid mixture on, say, on sand bath. So, sand bath has a particular temperature of 300 to 350 degrees centigrade, and that particular temperature we basically give the corresponding reaction, which is the corresponding complex formation reaction by solid state fusion reaction. But we should not have any volatile component of that particular part of the complex which can go out from the medium. Second one, what we have seen is a typically weight gain process after some time, that means after certain temperature. So, what we see, it can be a corrosion study. So, metallurgists or metallurgical engineers do study the corrosion experiment on some sample, whether that particular sample in a particular environment or it getting corroded at some temperature, because the temperature assisted corrosion can be studied for some samples, say some iron nail or iron sheet or iron slab. Then oxidation of metals, and due to that particular oxidation instead of getting this particular one what we have just seen as the volatile metal ion oxide, but if we see that this particular oxidation in presence of typical dioxygen or typical dioxygen which is present in air can be useful for the formation of some metal ion oxides, and those metal ion oxides are non-volatile in nature. If they are non-volatile in nature, so there will be some weight gain because something is forming, that means oxidation. So, M will be converted to MO. So, this is forming from your Ag2CrO4. Now, in other way, what we see that if we have M is forming to MO or forming to MtO3 or forming to M3O4, and if all of them are non-volatile oxides, what we find for all these we should get a weight loss and a curve like that of our D. So, we get the corresponding curve B when we have a metal ion or the metal sheet or any other sample which can give rise to the corresponding oxidation of some oxide which is non-volatile in nature. Then C, we have seen that two gaseous environment, one is the nitrogen environment and the other is your O2 environment. So, in case of C, the combustion of carbon black, you see that the combustion of carbon black when it is in the nitrogen environment, all we know that the carbon black we produce, because the carbon black is a very useful material, useful product, different companies are producing carbon black. So, this is a very active ingredient and mostly we use for making different types of tires to increase the corresponding thermal conductivity of these tires, the automobile tires. So, until and unless you have this particular O2 environment, so nitrogen environment there is no such weight loss. So, when we move to oxygen environment in place of your nitrogen environment, so immediately we will have the corresponding weight loss due to the formation or corresponding degradation of all these carbon particles to your CO2 formation. So, this is a very useful technique for that. Then this one, which one is very sharp one, then another one is a very slow step and slow degradation step for the second one, which is due to your multi-step decomposition reaction. So, this is the first step, and the second step we should also be able to detect in terms of a very small horizontal line, and which is the stability within this particular temperature range only, then it again start degrading. And lastly, why we get this particular kink is due to a explosive nature of the corresponding degradation process, and this particular one is the explosive decomposition with some recoil effect that will basically give rise to a shape which is known as the kink shape of this. Then it basically goes for your corresponding degradation process. So, looking at all these different shapes and the curves for your TGA analysis, we should be able to at least comment on what sort of curve and what sort of plot we can have and what sort of degradation we can have for a particular type of analysis. Okay, thank you very much.